See, I have this pet theory. This is a fossilized something or other. Some kind of tree or undersea plant. You can see where it was branching off here. I found several of these. But this one appears to have a vein of gold running through it. I found several of these. Where I live is at the base of a big cliff. So if you know anything about the disaster cycle or how the Sahara Desert was formed, you'll know that very likely this hasn't been here for millions and millions of years, but it was deposited here either 6 or 12,000 years ago. Now, I've been bothered since I first discovered the, what do you call it? The main sequence for stars, that our sun only fuses material up to and including iron. So where do all the heavy metals come from? And then, you look into various theories and you find out various facts. One of the facts was it's not uncommon to find, I forget what they call them, but when lightning strikes the ground, it can fuse all the material together. And you can basically dig up a fossilized lightning bolt where all the material is fused together by the supremely high voltage. And then, you look at, like, say, Thunderbolt's project and their theories about the Grand Canyon and the, what do you call it? The Valles Marinara on Mars being due to giant electrical discharges. And when I came across that, I was already aware of the electrical flux tube that exists between Jupiter's upper atmosphere and Io. So it's a thing that heavenly bodies accumulate charge and discharge and quite epic proportions. And so I thought about it and I thought about it and I thought, well, gold seems to be discovered in a similar vein-like structure. And knowing what I now assume to be true about the disaster cycle, every 6 to 12,000 years, galactic center fires up and we're subject to giant solar flares and CMEs and kill shots, essentially. Look up the three-legged crow, which is the, I believe, the 14th century disaster. I believe this is also the Bronze Age collapse. It was due more to another similar incident rather than just the sea people. I think the sea people were just trying to survive. And, the biblical flood and the Sumerian biblical flood with the Pishnim. And we see it again and again. And so, yeah, I honestly think that this plant was transmuted by mega electron volts, causing the material to essentially become a plasma and fusing some of it into heavier material. In this case, what sure as hell looks to be gold. And as nice as it is to be holding some gold in my hand, it gives me pause. Great concern, in fact, that what's coming next is pretty scary. And it's interesting how much of what we thought was allegory in ancient texts, including the Bible, may in fact be something more akin to a historical record. I'm not a creationist by any stretch, as Jordan Maxwell said. If you read the Hebrew, the book of Genesis actually begins not by saying God created the world at the beginning, but that the world was a desolation and a waste. Tohu evohu. And that lines up with the Mayan legend that this is actually the fifth or the sixth world of men. And Ben Davidson's work over at Suspicious Observers suggests that every 12,000 years, the majority of humans either are eradicated in cataclysm or sent back to the Stone Age. Which has pretty grave implications for what's coming up soon. And I'm starting to suspect that the elites know this, and that's actually the true motivation behind the wars and COVID, and all of these things are just cover for them to basically secure the resources and put in a control grid to ensure that they survive the next disaster cycle. That's my theory. And so, given that there seems to be some truth to the Bible, whether you're a believer or not, I'm worried that about that line about the sun rising in the west and setting in the east, it might actually be true. And when the galactic magnetic field reverses, the rotation of the Earth may reverse. 6,000 years this way, 6,000 years that way. Or 12,000 years this way, 12,000 years that way. Who knows? I do know that the sun's magnetic field does a flip like that. Although with the sun there's drag and the field is twisted up for a certain amount of time and then it springs back and twists the other way and springs back. I believe on a 9-year cycle. Give me a break, physics was 22 years ago. Okay. So that's it for now. That's my theory. It's my worry. Maybe my good fortune. Thanks for listening. Black Eye out.